Hey everybody, this is Ted Rusk back at you, and I'm going to do a little quick film today here on trying to gather some African American audience. How many times have you ever known of a white guy doing a show geared towards African Americans? Right? They don't really do that much. So I figured, well, why don't I have anything in common with African Americans? Okay, right here. I bet you African Americans overall smoke more weed as a percentage, smoke more weed than white people do. That's why most white people are all uptight. They don't know how to unwind. All right, because all white people ain't the same either. So I want to make a show, and I was going to try to make a short of this, but I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. If I'm talking to you guys out there, I shouldn't say you people, right? Okay, my audience out there, and a lot of you are African American, that's great. If the only audience I had was African American, I'm okay with that too. Because we could do live shows in Long Beach, LA, all over Southern California here, and well, I'm from Indiana. Shit, we could do shows, live shows. Can you imagine if I'm there and I'm going to tell you a joke, a black joke, okay? And I think it's time for the white folks to be the entertainers for the black folks. So what I'm going to promise you is I'm going to tell you a joke, okay? And I'm not going to use any questionable terms because that's what this video is about. Well, let's get that part over with, okay? Here's what happened in my upbringing, okay, regarding you guys, or the race. We call them African Americans today, but actually they're moving towards people of color, okay? My grandmother told me they were colored people. My parents told me, my grandparents were telling me colored people, Negroes. I think that was what my parents told me, Negroes. But by the time I got to school, it was blacks. And then by the time not long after being out of college, it was becoming African Americans. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just ask them, right? Wouldn't that make a good show? What do you think about it? Now, be sure and take up a big toke here. And keep in your mind, here's the deal. Our government doesn't want us talking to each other, right? No, not at all. They want us to be apart. The only thing we can do is, come together on a show, right? We're going to smoke weed on the show. We're going to make this video go viral. Okay, I'm going to tell you a couple jokes here in a bit. We're going to make this go viral. And we're going to get Snoop Dogg to sponsor our show. Okay? It's just as easy as that. And then we'll draw right from the community. You guys, this will be a big community-owned project. And we'll do shows and live shows and have real audience, There's nothing like getting some attitudes out of Long Beach or something. I'd love to hear their take on our government. So anyways, yeah, we could do a lot with this video. So anyway, what was I wrote down oh yeah, I asked you about what term you, if you're an African American watching my show here, what term would you prefer? Write it in the comments below. If you don't have time to do that, but you want to just click a like, then that means the default would be, say, African American, kind of like they might call me, a Caucasian American. Yeah, I'm born in America and I'm white. That's probably accurate. Asian, I think that's what it's moving towards, but let me know if that's how it should be moving. That's where I want you guys' opinion. Okay, here's the other question. guys think I'm a goddamn nutcase here a little bit, won't you? Okay. We've been taught we could never, ever, under any circumstance, use the N-word. And, nobody's there to answer the questions. Like, wait, does that mean I can never do a karaoke of Snoop Dogg? 1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre, is that my dope? I'd like to do the song like I heard it on the CD, but I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble. Okay, so my question is to you guys, if you are African American, what do you think? Is there any circumstances where a guy should use the N-word, a white guy, like that in karaoke, or if he was going to use it in a educational way? For example, I've got at least 2 or 3 terms that I've heard over my years, and I'd like to put them on my show, but they include the N-word in each of them, So I'm like, okay, do you really want to hear that, or would that be offensive to you? I'm going to use you can just imagine, it's just connecting the N-word to another word, or using the N-word in the middle of a phrase that means something in particular. But anyway, I'll be more than happy to explain that stuff. I'm just asking your permission first, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you, because they always talk about racism, right? I'm not going to deny there's not racism. I've got friends I've met that are, that talk racist. Never have I. Now, keep in mind, I was in rural southern Indiana. This was a place known for the Ku Klux Klan. They were up in Martinsville, and we were, a couple hours south of that. But down in our area, I never met anybody that was a member of the Klan in all my years there, and nobody ever approached me about joining. None of my friends have ever told me stories about anybody approaching them, nor any of their friends, because even if it was my best friend, he's got a cousin that had a friend that was a Klan member or something. I don't know. I've never heard that before, but the racism it's probably a little bit more low key than that, and maybe 70s TV shows. I was the first generation that watched Good Times. Sanford's. I loved old Fred, and he's a good kid. I love the 2 police, right? White guy, black guy, talking to, that guy's talking to Queen's English, white terms, and using those big, the perpetrator was apprehended, blah, blah. The black guy turns to Fred, says, they caught the cat, man. Okay, have another talk, man. We're well over the short video deal, so, okay. I've got a little time left. I'm going to tell you a joke then. This will tell you how, like, racism in some form is probably alive. But this is back in, this would be about late 70s. And I was in high school, and we'd moved from the city out to the countryside. And then it was a consolidated high school, like 4 different grade schools all go together at junior high, and even in that school, get this now, even after we consolidated all 4 schools together, there still was no black people going to our school. It was that white out there. There was no Asians, there was no Latin people. It was really just 100% white. So, there's this guy now. I'll tell you, our teachers, 3 of our teachers, and one of the jokes came from one of these 3. They were from Tennessee, okay? Now, I do know a little bit about Tennessee. It may not be as, what would you call it? It might not be such racial harmony as maybe, say, Evansville, Indiana, where I was raised. You know, the northern states, just in general, well, they were behind the blacks all along. They were the, 92% of white folks in this country never ever owned a slave in their entire history. I'm not sure my family's, I think my brother found some evidence of one of our members down the line that had slaves. But again, that's what happened back then, and I don't know why. I don't know the circumstances and whatnot, but that was a sad part of our country, and I'm not so sure that we didn't even fight the revolution because we might have been afraid that slavery was going to end in the UK, which would mean all the colonies would end it too at the same time. Well, I'm pretty sure those plantation owners in the South, that today we would call that big labor, or big business looking for cheap labor, and that was about as cheap as you get. So anyway, I'm going to tell you this joke here about I was in I don't know what class we were in, but I believe we were standing outside, maybe judging soil or something. And the teacher gathered everybody around. He said, oh, I got this joke about this black guy. He walks into this appliance store and talks to the white salesman. He said, this store is racist. It's just all white. Everywhere you look, there's just white. There's no other colors. And the white guy, waved him over, and he opened the lid of the washing machine. He said, yeah, but you never got to look far to find a black agitator. And I'm like, holy smoke, this is the kind of stuff we heard. I mean, this is from our teachers, okay? And we're impressionable youth, And I took it like, well, you know what, when that went through my mind, I'm probably thinking of the hippie days and the MLK, MLK Jr. We saw that on TV. I was just a kid, but I saw all that stuff going on. I saw it live on the nightly news. When they were meeting those people on that bridge over there, and I can't remember where that was. Selma, somewhere in the South. But anyway, I'd say a good idea for a show is I'll do some research on some other issues, and I'm going to get all my jokes out here. And terms, I want to use a couple terms, but that's why I made this video. Just pass it around in the African American community. If you're in Los Angeles area, even better, because you're right close to home. We can actually get together in person and do a show together, a talk show. So, and if you have any other questions, write them in the comments below, and I'll check back and check for your responses to my questions. So we'll stay in touch. I'll make another video soon. And yeah, follow me. Subscribe. Thank you. God bless.